Okay, we're back again with another video. This video, I'm gonna shout out to my bestie Maddy, who has been yelling at me to do this video for like the past 2 weeks now, because she told me to do it because she absolutely loves the series and I absolutely love the series. Fun fact, we did this series as a book club. Okay. Now the series, you may be wondering what it may be if you didn't read the video. It's this arc of Scythe series, and it is a dystopian book, so anyone who is into dystopian books, I highly recommend. I feel like it's very underrated, and it's, oh my god, so good. I already talked about one of the books in the series, which is Thunderhead, where I said it's one of my favorite books because, honestly, it is. I loved it, and I love the whole series, and the characters were so good. I did not read, I believe it's a novella, which is The Gleanings. I did not read that book yet, and I may or may not read that. I have been told to read it, though, because my friend won't spoil it for me. I'm talking to you, Maddy. Alright, anyway. So, in the main series, there's only 3 books. That makes more sense because the Arc of Scythe trilogy. Yeah. So, we have our first book in the series, which is Scythe. Look at all those annotations. So the main premise of this book is it's set in the future, like very far future, like way over there future, or way over there future. I don't know, but up in the timeline, not down in the timeline, not back in the past, y'all. So basically, they find a way to have all these, like, I forget what it's called, but like kind of like neurotechnology. I forget what it's called. Where, oh, nanotech or something like that. I don't know. Tony Stark stuff where he makes his suit out of it. Something like that, y'all. Okay. And they find a way to get rid of pain and then make everyone basically immortal. But the whole thing is, because people continually have birth and stuff, the population continues to grow, and they have to have some way to be able to decrease population because there's no such thing as death, because they have revival centers and they can revive people. So they have these things called Scythes, that are basically reapers, but in like modern time thing, where they're actual people who are immortal, who go around like randomly gleaning people. Gleaning basically means killing in the book. And they don't go off random stuff. Sometimes some Scythes do. It depends on what type of Scythe you are. And so the first book is basically about how these two, like, basically like teenagers get picked up by this Scythe who's like one of the more known Scythes, called Scythe Farde. And so the Scythe's names, they get chosen when they become a Scythe, who is deciding to take under 2 people who as an apprentice. And you're only really supposed to have 1 apprentice, but he only has 1 ring, which rings are kind of like the identification thing, where if you kiss one of the Scythe's rings, it gives them immortality, or like, not immortality, they already have immortality, but it gives them basically like a year, I think, a year of like without gleanings, so they'd be safe. And that usually happens after they glean someone in the family. Then whoever's like in the main part of the family will get to kiss the ring, and then they get a year of protection. And if you're a Scythe, then your whole family gets protection for as long as they live. And so basically these 2 have to fight basically to try and get to be able to be Scythe. So we have Citra and Rowan. And do we wish that they were love interests at one point? Yeah, we do. I wish. One could only hope, but never really happens, honestly. And so basically, the whole Scythedom, which is basically the government, they don't really have a government because the thing controlling all of them is basically called the Thunderhead, which is basically like the Cloud, but a more evolved one, who said, oh, we don't need government anymore. Government is not helping with anything. So basically we got rid of government. So we have two sides of the thing, which is the Scythes and then like the police type thing that keep everything like under control. And the police in Thunderhead can work with each other. The Thunderhead police cannot work with the Scythedom. They're their own thing. They have zero laws or anything like that. And so basically, whoever wins the ring gets to be the Scythe, and then whoever doesn't just gets to go back home. But later on, what happens is their mentor, Scythe Series, gets killed. And a whole mystery starts up, and they have to get new mentors. Scythe almost tripped up there. Scythe Series becomes the mentor of Citra, and Scythe Goddard becomes the mentor of Rowan. Scythe Goddard is more of the one who gleans in groups and kills multiple people all at once. And Anastasia just kind of, she is this Grand Duchess of like death or something, I think. And she's like, she has like a certain way of killing where it's basically like unknowing, and yeah. So basically someone tries to frame Citra for murder, and Scythe Anastasia is trying to help her get out of it. So we find out that Scythe Series totally faked his death and is still alive. But at the end of the book, basically Rowan may or may not kill his whole group of people. And shout out to Scythe Volta. We miss him, y'all. We miss him. Especially my bestie Maddy. We miss him. And yeah. So Anastasia basically gets the ring. She becomes the Scythe. She becomes Scythe Anastasia. I absolutely love the idea of her being Scythe Anastasia, is because her whole premise, if you don't know who Anastasia kind of is, Anastasia Romanoff is basically the last like royal family in Russia, and she was killed with her family. And the idea of her name being Anastasia is someone who could have been something but never got the chance to be able to be something great, which I really love that. And I love the whole Romanoff story. So if you kind of want to know more about it, I highly recommend researching it or watching the musical Anastasia. Kind of gives you the premise of what were to happen in more kind of magical stuff. So if you don't want to see all the bad things that kind of happened, yeah. So we have the second book, which is Thunderhead. Absolutely already loved. I'm going to share the quote again because why not? So I absolutely love this book because one of my favorite quotes is in this book, and it's basically the love interests, if they ever were love interests. Citra and Rowan are being like basically put at the bottom of the sea right now because Anastasia, Scythe Series sacrificed her entire life to save them and make sure that they would live. So they got put at the bottom of the ocean in like a big tank where they would live instead of them being drowning. So yeah. So this is them before they get frozen. To him, she looked like a goddess. The only thing that could ever do her justice would be the brush of a mortal-aged artist, capable of immortalizing the world with far greater truth and passion than actual immortality could. Like, hello? Like, you know the thing where it says, like, your man says, I love you, but he doesn't say that. Like, I would want a man who said that to me or would ever think about that to me. Like, hello? And so basically this whole book, so Rowan basically escapes and is like on the run because he was supposed to get killed at the end of Scythe, but he didn't. And so basically he shows back up. He becomes Scythe Lucifer, who is now killing corrupt Scythe, which I think is really cool. And Citra is kind of just finding her own way through life. She's one of the bigger Scythes, even though she's just a junior Scythe. And she finds her own way of killing, where she basically meets up with the people that she's gonna kill in the future and says, hey, I'm gonna glean you, but I'm gonna give you a whole entire month to get everything in order, do whatever you want to do, say goodbye to your family, and in a month I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna glean you. And you get to choose your way that you get to die. So yeah, I think that's really cool. And basically they're trying to figure out like the whole mystery of how Goddard came back to life. We find that out. Like debating, did I mess up this book or something? I don't know. But Goddard died, which we find out because Rowan basically killed him. Well, did kill him. But he comes back to life, and we're trying to stop him from becoming like the High Scythe. I don't know what it's called now. I don't know. But we're trying to make sure he doesn't get that to happen. And basically take over the whole world. And so Citra and Kiri are trying to stop him. And Kiri decides to run for Highblade, I believe it is. There it is, Highblade. And she wins, but because of the island sinking, she dies. And Goddard's the only one that comes back to life. Well, he basically lives because he gets off the island because he's the one who caused the whole explosion of the island sinking, like the lost island of Atlantis. Lost city of Atlantis. There it is. So basically that's what this book is about. And also all the murders going up against Citra, because no one wants Citra to be alive, basically. Because she's dangerous. Then we have the Toll. And the Toll is basically... Oh, by the way, Thunderheaded Scythe, 5 stars. This was 4 stars. I just didn't really like it that much. Is basically... Rowan and Citra both come back to life, and Citra's trying to save Rowan's life. And Citra's also trying to keep her life because she's trying to stop Goddard from, because he became Highblade and basically took over the whole thing, took over the whole show, and Citra's trying to stop him, which is the whole book is basically about that. And so basically she does like the whole Katniss thing where she's just like, if we burn, you burn with us. Like the whole video type things. And that's what she's doing. And so, yeah. Oh, okay. So basically, we find out that the Thunderhead evolves more into like something like 2.0 something. I don't know. But basically creates this like guy who he speaks through, and their world is basically dying. So they need to find a new, like the Thunderhead is trying to create a new world. And spoilers to the end of the whole series. It's not a good ending, I'm gonna tell you right now. I gave you a minute to get off the video. Or skip through it, but basically what happens is they get on the spaceship. It's gonna take 117 years or something. And so Citra gets put in this cryo-freeze chamber where she's gonna be preserved because the Thunderhead likes her, of how she acts and stuff. And they're gonna like recreate everything and try and make it perfect. Which, if you know anything, that's never gonna happen really. So I don't really know what happens next, but Rowan goes with her because he's basically in love with her. And we all know that. And so he's like, I'll live. I don't need to be in a cryo freeze, but when we get there, I want you to turn my corner, which means basically reset my age and act like nothing happened. And I was over here like, excuse me, sir? So basically he does that. Literally the end of the story is, here, hold on. Hold please, y'all. He says, "Hey," he says gently. She's alert enough to realize he's holding her hand. Perhaps he's been holding it for a while. "Hey," she says back, her voice gravely and rough. "Weren't we just running?" "Yes, there was something going on and we were running." His smile broadens. Tears fill his eyes. They drop slowly as gravity itself has become less abdominant, less demanding. "When was that?" Citra asks. "Only a moment ago," Rowan tells her. "Only a moment ago." Like, you gotta be kidding me. You are gaslighting this girl, the love of your life. Like, the ending just kind of was like, no. Yeah. So honestly, my final rating is I highly recommend it to anyone who's looking for more dystopian books to read because it's such a good dystopian book. And I highly recommend it. It's such a good series. So please do read. And that's all. Alright, I will see you in the next video. Bye!